Good morning, everybody. I want y'all to look at something with me for just a few minutes. Let's look at a condition. Let's look at John the 5th chapter, starting at the second verse, okay? It says, "Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool, trouble the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatever disease he had." Verse 5, "And a certain man there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, Will thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool, but while I'm coming, another stepped down before me. Jesus said unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked." I want to stop right there. What happens when the word speaks for you? What happens? Well, let's look at what was taking place. They were all laying there. Porches were full of folk. It tells us what kind. There were all kind, impotent folk. There were folk who had been there for a very long time. There were folk who were blind, halted, withered, who were waiting for one thing, for the moving of the water. And in saying that, and in looking at the condition of each one, looking at where they had been, you could say that they had gotten comfortable in their condition. They had gotten comfortable because they each waited for somebody else to do something for them so that they could get their healing. Okay, and while they were waiting, my God, the word stepped up. What happens when the word speaks for you? The word has already given you your identity. The word has already said you're peculiar. The word has already said you're the redeemed of the Lord. The word has already said you're the head and not the tail. The word has already said you're above and not beneath. The word has already said you are the lender and not the borrower. The word has already given you a description of who you are, what you possess. And all we have to do is agree with the word. But sometimes we don't want to agree with the word because it doesn't get us the attention that we're used to. It does not give us the people who will just come by and pitch a coin at us, or somebody who would just come by and lay something down before us. We get used to that. We get used to being treated as less than who we are. So we must come out of that. We must have a different mindset. We must begin to have the mind of Christ, because we have the power to do that. Because in the word told us to let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. So we know we can do it because he told us to let it. To let means to just let it happen. You don't have to cause it to happen. You don't have to make it happen. You just let it happen. Let. That is how everything was created, remember? When in the beginning God said, let there be light, and there was light. Creation came from a word. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about agreeing what happens when the word speaks for you. That's what Jesus had to do. When he asked him, it was a question. It was a yes or no question. He said, will thou be made whole? All he had to do was say yes or no. But then he started going into the detail of his condition. He started going into who wouldn't do what and who did what and the reason why this happened and the reason why I'm still here. No, the reason why you're still there is because you haven't changed your mindset. You haven't become hungry or thirsty after righteousness, because if you had, then you would do whatever it took to get what you needed. There are some impotent folk nowadays. They refuse to move from where they are, the state in which they're in. They've grown comfortable because of the attention that it brings. We got to get out of that. It's no longer acceptable. It's not. Because to let you know that it wasn't acceptable anymore, Jesus just stopped him from talking. He just stopped him. After he said, somebody get down in front of me every time. And Jesus said unto him, rise, take up your bed and walk. Why did he say that? He asked him, would he be made whole? That means I'm taking care of the whole body, not just the impotency of your legs. Not just you not being able to move when you want to. Not just the fact that you are waiting for somebody else to put you in. But let's get to the root of the problem. I could get healed from something all day long. But if I never ever take a look at what caused me to need the healing, then I still have the problem. I still have what caused me to be in that condition. And that's what we need to look at. What's the root of it? We need to go in and get the root out so then it doesn't return. So that when you get your healing, you can get your deliverance from the problem. And not only get your deliverance, but get your release. You have to have a release. And you can't do that yourself. So look at this. Look at this. When a woman goes into the hospital to have a baby, she is there because she's in labor, that she has to work to get to the expected end. So when she delivers the baby, that's not the end of it. She doesn't tell herself when it's time to go. The doctor, the specialist, has to come in and tell her that she's able to leave. He has to write her release. She can't just walk out the hospital. She has to get permission to leave. It's called release. Same way it is here. Same way it is here. He got the healing that he needed. Complete. Everything. Because his mind had to be changed. His body had to be changed. The thing that caused him to be impotent in the first place had to be removed. And then Jesus had to tell him, get up, take up that bed. Because as long as that bed is laying there, you're going to want to lay there because you've gotten comfortable in that bed. You want to stay there in that bed. So we're going to remove what's causing you to feel so comfortable in a place where you were never meant to be. Did you catch that? You got comfortable in that place where you are, but you were never meant to be there. But when you accept something other than what the word has said, there is no telling how long you will stay in that condition when you set your mind to accepting it first. So Jesus took care of all that. He said, get up, rise. He didn't pay any attention to what the man was about to say next. He cut it off. Rise. Now take up that bed. Now walk. Yeah. Do what it is that you were designed to do in the first place. Your legs were meant to carry you to where you needed to be. So, since that's the case, that is what we're going to do. Walk. He didn't ask him. He wasn't even waiting. At that very moment, when the word spoke for him, when he agreed with the word, you know, there had to be an agreement, right? Immediately, the man was made whole. Immediately. And he did what he said. He took up his bed and he walked. Because that's what the word said to do. There was obedience there. Do this and you'll get this result. That's what we have to do now. Continue to do what the word says to do, and you will get the results of what the word has spoken about you. That is what we're looking for. That is what we want in the first place. We want to look like the word. We want to be like the word. When you find yourself making a detour from being peculiar, from being a royal priesthood, then we have to go back. Look, wait a minute. I'm becoming impotent. What? I'm starting not to look like what the word has said about me. I was reading something the other day about the richest people in the world, their value according to what somebody else has said, according to their homework. And it said that, oh, so-and-so is worth this X amount of money, and the next second richest is worth this amount of money. And then I was reading about one of the individuals. They said that before you can even eat with this man, you have to have this amount of money to even sit down at their table. You can't, and then even if you, after you've paid that hundreds, thousands amount, you still have to be chosen by man because it was his charity. So you still have to be chosen to talk with him, to sit at his table. And I started laughing. I said, well, he's not rich enough to sit at my table. He's not. I don't care how much money you have. You're not rich enough to sit at my table. Because the table that God has prepared for me, he prepared it in the midst of my enemies. That's what he said. He said, I prepare a table for you in the midst of your enemies. So everything I need is on the on my table. But I'm not charging people to talk. I don't need to talk to you. You may want to talk to me. And I say that with confidence, not being cocky or thinking more highly of myself than I ought to think, but I think about me the way the word tells me to think about me. I know my value. I know my worth. So until you, the person that allows people to tell you about your worth, tell you how much you're worth. If you don't know your own worth, no, don't sit at my table. No. And that is to say, be confident in who God says that you are. Be confident. Don't let another individual come and tell you your worth, because Jesus already made that clear. He loved us so much that he came down and gave his life for us. Women, men, children, know your worth. You don't have to settle. Don't live beneath what God said about you. You don't have to do that. Don't do that anymore. Stop acting like a Walmart special. Don't do that. You're not on sale. You're not for sale. You've already been bought with a price. Jesus paid blood for you. Yes, he did. He went to Calvary for you. He allowed them to put him to death. He gave, you notice at the end when it was time to go, he gave up the ghost. They didn't take it. He gave it up so that we could live in abundance. Yes, abundance. I said that. He wants us to live in abundance, not lack. That's what he said. I would that you would prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. I give you power to get wealth. He did all that. So since he made the provision, surely we can accept what he's already done. Amen? Amen. You all go ahead and be blessed today with the word that's been given to you. Take your word, take a hold of it. Don't let anybody take it from you. Hold on to it. Look at it. Walk it out. Hold on to it. Don't let go. Don't let go. And always remember that you are blessed beyond measure by y'all. Love you.